Okay, let's unpack this. Picture the scene. It's early 2026. You open your news feed, you check your inbox, and honestly, it's just exhausting.
It's the noise floor of modern life, isn't it? It's constant.
It really is. And it feels like the entire world, or at least our world, has split into these two very loud opposing camps. Camp one is just screaming, the robots are coming, they're going to run the banks, they're going to trade the stocks, and humans will be obsolete by, like, next Tuesday.
The apocalypse scenario, the Skynet version.
Exactly. And then you've got camp two, the skeptics, and they're just rolling their eyes saying, relax, guys. AI is just a fancy spell check.
Right. It's a productivity tool.
It'll help us write emails, it'll format spreadsheets faster, but nothing fundamental actually changes.
Yeah, it's Clippy helping you write a letter. It's that classic binary. It's either the end of the world or it's nothing. There's no middle ground.
But here is where it gets really interesting, and it's why we're here today. We have a source that says both of those views are completely wrong.
And not just a little bit wrong.
No, like existentially dangerous wrong, especially if you're working in finance.
Yeah, we are unpacking a really provocative piece today. The article's called AI Won't Replace Banks, This Architecture Will.
It was just published, right? February 4th, 2026.
That's right, by Bruce Stewart over at Metallicus.
And Stewart isn't talking about chatbots here. He's laying out a blueprint, a specific architectural model that claims that any financial institution trying to just, sprinkle AI on top of their old systems is essentially a dead bank walking.
It's a heavy claim. But the core argument is fascinating because it totally rejects that binary we just talked about. He says the future isn't AI replacing humans. It's a convergence.
A specific stack.
A very specific stack of three things: human governance, AI orchestration, and on-chain execution.
He drops his claim in the intro that I actually had to read it 3 times. He claims that 6 people, just 6, using this specific architecture can outperform an institution with thousands of employees.
Which sounds insane, right? It sounds like pure marketing fluff.
It sounds impossible. 6 people versus a skyscraper full of bankers.
But the mission for this deep dive is to really explore why it's not impossible. We need to look under the hood. We're going to break down why the current banking model is, broken, why AI alone can't fix it, and how this 3-layer model actually changes the entire math of doing business.
So let's start with that problem, the false binary. Why is the idea of AI just replacing humans in finance such a trap? Why can't I just fire my compliance team and let the AI run the bank?
Well, you have to think about what regulated finance actually is. Banks today are trying to use AI as an efficiency play.
Sure, cut headcount, process loans faster.
Right. But in regulated finance, speed isn't the main product. Trust is. And more specifically, liability is.
Liability, that's the key word right there.
Stewart makes this point that I think is the foundation for this whole argument. The real question isn't, can AI think? Or can AI analyze a market trend?
The real question is, who goes to jail when it messes up?
Precisely. Who is accountable? Let's say you replace your human compliance officer with some black box AI model, and it's processing transactions at light speed. Great.
Sounds efficient.
Super efficient. But then it spots a pattern it likes, maybe a high volume flow of cash, and it facilitates a massive money laundering scheme for a sanctioned entity.
And because it's a black box, a neural network, you can't even ask it why it did that. It saw a math problem and solved it.
Exactly. You can't subpoena an algorithm. You can't put handcuffs on a line of code. Stewart has this line that I absolutely love. He says, institutions that replace humans with AI will rediscover risk faster than efficiency.
Rediscover risk. That is such a polite way of saying lose all their money and go to prison.
It implies they forgot what business they're in. They're in the business of risk management. AI is brilliant at pattern recognition. It's great at simulation. It scales infinitely.
But it's sociopathic.
Totally. It has no concept of fiduciary duty. It doesn't know what a consequence is.
So if you just hand the keys to the AI, you've built a high-speed machine for generating regulatory fines.
Or worse, a lot worse. But then you have the other side of the coin. The people who say, okay, AI is risky, so let's just use it to write marketing emails and keep all the old systems.
Which is the productivity tool argument. Why is that wrong?
Because that ignores the fact that the underlying infrastructure of banking is broken. It's slow, it's opaque, it's incredibly expensive. Putting a super smart AI on top of a settlement system from the fax machine era doesn't actually fix the settlement system.
It's like putting a Ferrari engine in a horse-drawn carriage.
Perfect analogy.
They're just going to break the carriage.
That's it. And this leads us to the second piece of the puzzle. If AI provides the intelligence but lacks the accountability, what about blockchain? For 10 years, we've heard that blockchain fixes everything.
And transparency, settlement, programmability.
It's all there on the ledger.
It is. But Stewart points out a critical flaw in relying on blockchain alone. Blockchain is deterministic. Okay, let's pause on that. Deterministic. That's a word that gets thrown around a lot. What does it actually mean here?
It means the system does exactly what it is told. Nothing more, nothing less. It has no judgment. It has no nuance.
Like a vending machine.
Exactly like a vending machine. You put in $1, you press B4, you get the chips. The machine doesn't care if you're allergic to peanuts. It doesn't care if the chips are expired. It just executes.
So if I accidentally send $1 million to a scammer's wallet address,
the blockchain executes. It doesn't say, hey, wait a minute, are you sure about this? This looks a little suspicious. It is, for all intents and purposes, dumb infrastructure. It's just ruthlessly obedient.
I see where this is going. So on one hand, we have AI, which is smart but reckless. It has no conscience.
Right.
And on the other, we have blockchain, which is accountable and transparent, but totally dumb.
Yeah.
It has no brain.
And that is the aha moment in the source material. Finance has been missing the link. It's been missing an intelligence layer to tell the deterministic system, the blockchain, what to do, but to do it safely.
Which brings us to the core of this whole thing, the three-layer architecture. Bruce Stewart calls it an operating system for the future of finance.
And it's not just a tech stack, it's a hierarchy. The order of operations is vital here. You can't just mix them up.
I want to walk through these layers because this is the meat of the deep dive. Layer 1 is at the very top, and surprisingly, for an article about future tech, Layer 1 is people.
Human governance. This is crucial. In this model, humans are not removed. They are elevated.
So they're not the ones clicking approve on every single wire transfer anymore.
No, that's the old model. That doesn't
Wow.
scale. If a human has to look at every transaction, you can only grow as fast as you can hire people.
Right.
In this new architecture, the humans, the board, the risk officers, the compliance teams, they define the policy.
They set the rules of the road.
Exactly. They define risk thresholds, jurisdictional constraints, escalation rules. They are approving the systems that operate within those rules. It's a shift from being a gatekeeper of individual transactions to being an architect of policy.
That makes a lot of sense. Its policy is code. So the humans set the intent. We only trade with these countries up to this amount with this level of KYC. Then what? We move down to layer 2, AI orchestration.
This is the middle layer, the orchestrator. And the source is very, very specific about the language here. The AI is not the custodian.
Which goes back to our earlier point.
Yeah.
AI shouldn't hold the keys.
Never. In this model, the AI monitors activity in real time. It simulates outcomes before they happen. It prepares actions. It says, okay, based on the human policy, this transaction looks good, and I've prepared the packet.
Wait, talk to me about simulation. What does that actually look like?
Well, imagine a trade comes in. Before any money moves, the AI runs a what-if scenario. It calculates. If this transaction executes, what happens to our capital ratios? Our risk exposure? Does this violate any sanctions lists? It basically predicts the future state of the ledger.
That's a game changer. Usually you only find out you broke a rule after the fact during an audit 6 months later.
Exactly. This is continuous compliance. The AI is an accelerator. It takes the human intent and figures out how to execute it efficiently. Or it flags anomalies. It says, hey, this looks weird. I'm kicking it up to a human for review.
But, and I want to double click on this.
Yeah.
It does not move the funds.
It cannot. It does not override policy. It accelerates human intent. It doesn't replace it. You can think of it like it prepares the gun, but it absolutely cannot pull the trigger.
Okay, so the human sets the rule. The AI preps the play, simulates the outcome. Now we need to actually move the money. That brings us to layer 3.
Deterministic on-chain execution. The rails.
Right.
Once the intent is defined and the action is prepared, it moves to the blockchain. The source mentions Metallicus' specific infrastructure here, the metal blockchain and the XPR network.
And why is it important that this part happens on-chain? Why not just use a standard SQL database like banks have for 40 years?
Because of that word deterministic again. When you execute on-chain, especially on a network designed for finance like XPR, the result is instant, transparent, and immutable. There is no T+2 settlement where you have to wait 2 days to see if the money actually arrived.
And no off-ledger risk.
Off-ledger risk is where all the surprises hide. In the old world, my database says, I sent you money, your database says you didn't get it, and now we have to pay a bunch of people to figure it out.
Right.
In this model, once the signal is sent, It's done. It's final. There is only one version of the truth.
So we have humans deciding the what and the why, AI handling the how and when, and blockchain handling the actual action.
But there is a missing piece, a really big hole in the bucket, actually.
I was going to say, if the AI is prepping the transaction, what stops a hacker from impersonating the AI? Or what stops the AI from just hallucinating and deciding to send the bank's entire treasury to a cat shelter?
This is the control plane, the glue that holds it all together, and the source calls this identity.
And specifically, WebAuth.
Right. We are not talking about a username and password here. Passwords are dead in this architecture.
So what are we talking about then?
We are talking about hardware-backed keys.
So if I'm listening to this and I'm running a fintech or a bank, I'm thinking, okay, this sounds cool, it sounds technical, it sounds secure, but the source pivots to the so what pretty aggressively. This isn't just about being safer.
No, it's about a massive competitive advantage.
The structural advantage. This is where we go back to that crazy claim from the intro.
Yeah, 6 people versus thousands. Yeah.
Let's break that down, because I think people listening might still be skeptical. How can 6 people manage a balance sheet that usually requires a skyscraper full of employees? Where do all the thousands of people go?
Think about what those thousands of people are actually doing in a traditional bank. A huge portion of them are involved in reconciliation. They're what I'd call human middleware.
Human middleware. I like that.
It's true. They are taking data from System A, checking if it matches System B, fixing a typo, and moving it to System C. They're manually reviewing low-risk transactions because the old system is too dumb to filter them out.
So they're essentially solving the problems created by the old technology itself.
Precisely. When you remove the need for reconciliation, because the blockchain is the single source of truth, and you automate all the compliance checks with AI orchestration, your overhead it collapses.
The source says these teams settle faster and operate with continuous compliance.
Continuous compliance is the killer app here. Usually compliance is a retrospective audit, Let's look back at last month and see if we broke any laws.
Yeah, after the damage is done.
Right. With this architecture, the rules are baked into the execution. If a transaction violates the policy, the AI doesn't prep it, and the blockchain won't process it. You are compliant by default.
Which means your risk drops structurally.
And your costs drop structurally, and your speed increases structurally. It's a triple threat. If Bank A is using this architecture and Bank B is using the old method, Bank A operates at a tiny fraction of the cost of Bank B.
That's not a margin of error. That is an extinction-level event.
It is. Bruce Stewart compares this to something like cloud adoption or mobile banking, but he says it's different.
Why is it different? Why can't the old banks just catch up eventually?
Because with mobile banking, if you were a year late, you could hire a dev shop, build an app, and basically catch up. It was a user interface change. This is an operating model change.
If your competitor's cost of doing business is just fundamentally lower because of their architecture, you can't catch up by hiring more people. In fact, hiring more people just makes your problem worse.
Correct. You operate at a permanent disadvantage. You are carrying the weight of all that legacy infrastructure while they are sprinting. The source is warning that late adopters won't just be behind, they will be obsolete.
It's a stark warning. There is no going back.
It really is. And it challenges the very definition of what a financial institution is. We're used to judging banks by their assets, their physical footprint.
Look at that big marble building. They must be trustworthy.
Exactly. But this suggests a future where a lean, tech-heavy startup could manage billions of dollars in assets with a team that fits in a minivan.
A minivan managing $1 billion balance sheet.
It sounds wild, but it's possible. If the trust is in the code and the execution is on the chain, you don't need the marble columns to prove you're trustworthy.
So what does this all mean for us, for you listening? We've looked at the failure of AI alone, the lack of accountability. We've looked at the limitations of blockchain alone, the lack of intelligence. And we've seen how this 3-layer architecture brings them together under human governance.
The takeaway really is that the future isn't about choosing between human and machine. It's about the architecture of how they interact.
And for anyone in this industry, the message from Metallicus is pretty clear. You need to consume this content now, today. Because you don't want to spend the next decade wondering what happened.
It's a call to action. Stop looking at AI as a chatbot to fire your customer service reps. Start looking at it as an orchestration layer for digital value.
I want to leave our listeners with one final thought to chew on. We've spent the last century believing that in banking, size equals power. The more branches, the more employees, the bigger the vault, the more powerful the bank.
A very 20th century metric.
Exactly. But if this source is right, we are moving to a world where architecture equals power. We are moving from too big to fail to too smart to fail.
Or perhaps too transparent to fail.
I like that. If a 6-person team can outperform a traditional giant simply because their operating system is better, then what happens to the job market? What happens to institutional trust?
It's a fascinating inversion. We might be entering an era where the most trusted institutions are actually the ones with the fewest people, because the architecture itself provides the trust, not the payroll.
That is a future worth watching. A lean, mean, transparent machine. Thanks for diving in with us.
Always a pleasure.